Since kitesurfing live streams are mostly garbage, we flew to Gran Canaria for the World Championship finals and made a movie.
Wow, like, oh my god, it's crazy.
Yo guys, shout out to Barry here, yo.
It's windy behind me, I'm excited about this.
Hey everyone, so yeah, we're here in Salinas in Gran Canaria. It's one of my favorite spots to be, and we're kicking off the competition tomorrow. I just had a warm-up session on the 8th. It was not too windy, but we're expecting really strong wind tomorrow, so...
Yo guys, welcome to Gran Canaria. We're landed on the Mars. The conditions look absolutely crazy. We have huge waves, super strong winds.
All day, all night, never not windy.
The kiters have to jump in the water, body drag away from the shore break to not get killed and smashed by the waves.
I think this is very unique. It's the first time they've been here. There's a lot of anticipation. The spot is tricky, it's difficult. This is all the classic things that come at the big events, and the best riders will overcome that. I mean, look at this spot, the launch, the wind turbines. This is as hard as it gets for riders to be safe. But I think once they get out on the water, the best ones will just go into automatic mode. The ones that have put the practice in are going to be the ones that excel here.
It's one of my favorite spots. I've been riding here for a lot of time. So yeah, man, I'm ready.
We come here since we were small.
Time rush here is a no-go. That is what would make it very difficult and very dangerous.
It can be super on here. You can have super big waves. Sometimes it's a bit inconsistent, but when you hit the right wave and the right gust, you can go massive.
Yeah, I personally really like it. I know not everyone agrees, but for me, yeah, I've been loved training here the past few days, and yeah, it's been so good.
I'm feeling really confident. I feel great. I did like a week and a half of training here in Gran Canaria. I'm in love with the spot. As you know, probably the entrance is difficult, but once you're in the water, it's magical.
Have any concerns on the launching area?
Yeah, all the concerns. I mean, what cannot go wrong here?
Yeah, it's actually quite hectic.
Yeah, it's just thick sand, you know. You get used to it.
Yeah, but I think the organizers have tried to eliminate all the risk, obviously. So we're gonna have 3 people walking in with us, someone carrying the board, also for walking out, and I think there's even some Crocs gonna be available.
Oh, very nice.
So, yeah.
Woo! Let's go, I'm ready for it, man.
I mean, I'm gonna for sure try my best to win this competition, but yeah, Jamie and Jeremy, they're riding super good, and also they know the spot really good. So yeah, we'll do my best, but let's see, bro.
I've been coming for the past 8 years. I love this spot so much.
Today was quite good. I learned some stuff about the spot, how to ride it even better. So it was a good warm-up for the competition. So yeah, I had quite a good session. I've trained super hard, and I think I'm on my highest level at the moment.
Jamie Overbeek was going into this event as the world #1.
I think I'm going to go out for a session, get a last bit of training in, but nothing too much, and then take it easy for the rest of the day and then be ready for tomorrow.
Look like my spot in Brazil. Yeah, it's choppy and constant wind, so I think gonna be easy for me to compete again. We just try to do it, and whatever I get it's happy for me after the concussion.
So I arrived around 5 days ago, and I've just been right off the plane. I got down and I just kited all day, and then from there on I kite all fucking day, and that's all I do.
Zach Adams was one of the newcomers. It was his first ever GKA event, and he surprised me with his creative riding on the day of the warm-up. It was incredible to watch this young talent.
Really keen for this comp. It's an epic spot, as you can see, really like a little bit similar to Cape Town with the waves. I'm feeling really ready, and been here for 5 days now, training really hard every day, and yeah, can't wait for the comp, man. It's gonna be epic.
Josh Gillett was an F1 prototype, and Beto showed us the new Rebel D-Lab.
Let's see, I'm not sure if I'm gonna compete with this kite, but I would love to, you know. I'm used to it already. I know the kite, but you know, I'm Beto Gomez, papi. I can go anyway.
On the 11th of July, the GKA decided to run the event. For that, they ordered all the riders to the beach for the skippers meeting very early in the morning.
Competition is going down today here in Gran Canaria. I'm right here at the spot.
Feeling super good. Finally today the wind is on, and yeah, we're gonna start in less than 1 hour and the wind is pumping 40 knots.
I feel super stoked and I can't wait to go ride. It looks absolutely epic right now.
The condition looks really fire, 40-45 knots, good waves.
What do the riders need to do in order to get a good score?
I think today they'll definitely score best when the kite is super low and you're free falling a ton and you got so much extremity going into your trick that it just makes the judges go, wow, like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Extremity is the key factor.
Now that the athletes knew exactly what they had to do, we were making ourselves comfortable on the beach and they were getting ready and pumping their kites. Let's jump right into the first round of the day. Edgar Ulrich, currently world number 4, showed his unique style. Look at the doobie contra, where he goes into a laid out backflip rotation. This was so sick. He spins the board late and sticks the landing. What an amazing start to this event. In the first heat we saw critical kite angles, creative moves, a lot of rotations and flips. That's what the judges want to see, and with this performance Edgar managed to qualify straight for the quarterfinals. The second and third place have to go into round 2. In the second heat of the day we saw Jeremy Burlando versus Beto Gomez and Cohen van Dijk. One of the favorites, Jeremy, started with an incredible show. He went for a triple front roll contra loop whilst spinning his board mid-air. The video doesn't pay justice on how big this jump was. Jeremy proved to be one of the favorites for the event. He went super high on his slingshot NXT, he board flipped, caught it and landed almost everything. He looked very, very good from the beginning on.
All the other days it was strong, but this looks like it's a good 10 knots more.
These were Jason's words before the heat, and here he went for his signature back roll tornado, multiple rotations. Unfortunately he doesn't get control before the landing. But as the heat went on, he improved his landings and he qualified straight for round 3 as well.
I'm in the 4th heat against Lorenzo and Josh Gillett.
They're 2 of my friends, so yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna try to send some proper doubles, bro.
Look at this huge extension over here with a board of double kite loop. That's beautiful and technical and everything. Lorenzo Casati is for sure one of the best in the world when it's about these double kite loops, if not the best. He lands so controlled all the time. Zach Adams was for sure under a little bit of pressure and he seemed a little bit nervous on the beach, but as soon as this guy's in the water, he just sends it. He flips the board during multiple rotations on 20 meters of height. And also Josh Gillett wanted to prove a point over here. He was in the semifinals of the Lords of Tram and now he has new gear. It looks like it's super fast, this new prototype, and he seemed so stoked on it. Lorenzo won the heat with a 23 overall score. That's incredible, and heat 5 was getting ready.
I'm against Hidden Clement and yeah, let's end it.
This 15-year-old over here is called Shahar Sabari, and what he put down that day was nothing but an incredible show. He went all day on the 8-meter pace pro and he put down the most insane single kite loops, including multiple rotations, front flips, board offs and board flips. It was a hell of a consistent performance. But he had to go against his team partner Gil Vlucht in the first heat, and Gil is the master of double kite loops. He was also on that pace pro. This ass loop here was what won him the heat. He went into a massive free fall and got a huge score because
extremity is the key factor.
Which basically meant that Shahar needed to round 2. I'm pretty sure this guy needs no further introduction. Josue San Ferreira, aka Baby Shark. He's a superstar in the kite world, currently ranked world number 5. He has a huge handle to do these long board offs and make this trick super stylish. He was dominating this heat with his incredible technicality. Just look at his trick over here. 6 front rolls with a board off, kind of a tornado. This one is called a shark attack. He invented this trick and he's so happy to land it every single time because it's so damn difficult. Also, Baby Shark managed to qualify for round 3. In Heat 7 we saw a battle of generations. It was the greatest of all time, Aaron Hadlow versus Leonardo Casati and Stein Mull. Look how Leonardo started his heat. It was a double kite loop laid back board off, an absolutely massive trick for a 14-year-old. And Stino went for his signature contra loop with a lot of front rotations and a board off. Stino put on a hell of a show. Look at this kite angle in this doobie board off. He takes the board off on his fin, which makes it even harder. It was still not enough to beat Leonardo Casati. Aaron and Stino had to go through round 2. In the last heat of round 1, it was all about Jamie Overbeek. He was the guy to beat, world number 1. He was highly motivated, sending it on the Harlem 4 6 meter, putting the kite right below him. I wonder what this one would have scored. This one was so risky, and now he came back with another S-loop board off, a little bit safer, and this time he sticks the landing for 707. He was dominating this first heat by a lot, and he still put down some of the biggest and most difficult big air tricks we've ever seen. These guys are just here to put down a show. This is what it looked like when the exit of the water was seamless, but it wasn't like this all the time. We were about to see some big shit happening.
I'm up against Inba and Lana.
We are in the first heat and I'm really excited to send with the girls.
The wind picked up quite a lot for that first girls heat, and they had to go on the smallest kites available. Unfortunately, the security staff of the GKA was not able to secure them properly on the beach, and we saw some close calls. The combination of slippery rocks and a huge shore break made it almost impossible to enter the water in a safe way in up to 50 knots of wind. These were the strongest conditions of the whole event, and I have mad respect for all the female riders that were still going into the water and sending it big time. Alessa won her first heat with a solid performance. This laid back over here secured her the win against Lana and Inba. I'm pretty sure most of you have already seen a lot of behind the scenes videos, what happened on this beach, but just check this out. All the riders felt such a relief if they were able to land their kite without getting injured. In the second heat, Francesca Maini was putting down a big show. She looked so comfortable in these conditions, going absolutely massive, doing big kite loops on her 7-meter Orbit Pro. But the struggle continued for her opponents. In this case, Sarah. Her kite got absolutely destroyed and she had to come back to the beach swimming. And Francesca did a big contra loop front roll to secure the win. She managed to get an overall score of more than 20 points. That's by far the best girls heat in the first round. And she seemed very happy with it. The wind was still nuking up to 50 knots. Now we are in heat 3 of the girls. Later on we will go more specific into certain heats like the semifinals and finals, but for now I want to guide you through the highlights and show you what it felt like to be on that beach. Look at the free fall from Jasmine over here. That was a massive kite loop and she rode it out with ease. Over here she's going for a boogie loop, and now we see the problems that are coming with a small kite sizes. The 6-meter pace is just way too fast. In this replay over here you can see that she's oversteering the kite a lot. This was definitely one of the harder crashes that day, and I'm so happy that she could walk away with a smile on her face. Alice won the heat in the end, and now it was time for Pippa against Sarah, two of the best female riders in the world. Pippa got carried towards the water by Liam Whaley and then went for a huge contra front roll, riding it out with a lot of stees over here. That was super cool. Sarah tried to be super innovative. She went for doubles and in this case an S-loop. Unfortunately the S-loop she didn't stick it, but she could still win the heat. Afterwards we saw a big hug on the beach. These two are feared competitors but also very good friends. Now you can enjoy the biggest tricks of Cohen van Dijk and Josh Gillett as they went through their first elimination heat in round 2. The stoke was real after this heat. The guys were sending it. And by the way, did we already talk enough about Zach Adams? The kid from the United States who was in his first ever World Tour competition. In round 2 he managed to beat Beto Gomez, Arthur Gilbert and Lucas Gramstrup, securing himself a score of 17.92. He matches a little bit the style of his slingshot team partner Jeremy Berlando, who is obviously one of the best in the world. In the second round, 2 of the riders have the chance to qualify for the quarterfinals, and Beto was right up there with Zach. He went massive and was so happy.
Hey, tomorrow, Beto.
It's true that during this event,
We saw some crazy shit.
and to be honest, the party started right now. Shahar Sabari versus Aaron Hadlow in round 2. Another battle of generations for sure. And this time it looked like Shahar was really ready for it. He went all out. I'm really proud of him, how he showed the world of kitesurfing what he's capable of. He even managed to win his round 2 against Aaron Hadlow and Valentin Gerard, 2 legends of the sport. Aaron Hadlow also managed to qualify for the round 3. He put down big single kite loops and then he went all out and did a huge S loop on the 8 meter. Lewis was happy with Aaron, and Shahar was even happier after finding out that he made it into the quarterfinal. The kites were getting launched for the last heat of day 1. Stino Mull against Luca Cerruti and Clément Hugh. This was one of the most controversial heats of the whole event, since Luca was probably underscored for tricks like this one over here, where he adds a slide in the end. It's super creative riding, super technical, and not a lot of people can do that. Eventually the judges didn't even see what was going on with his landing because they were so far away from the landing zone. That one was more down to the organizers. I thought in general that the event could have been organized a little bit better. To miss a landing is one thing, but to miss a whole kite loop laid back board off, it's a different story. Sorry, Luca. Lucky enough they didn't miss Dino's last trick, the biggest jump of the day, a massive boogie loop with a board off by the fin, floating forever, landing all the way downwind, absolutely crazy.
Sick one!
Coming back to the beach, Luca's only chance was it to go to the judges and ask them what was going on. In the meantime, let's have a look on the replay of Stino's 9.0. What a beautiful shot. This was the best score of day 1. And he was stoked about it. This one was a full send. For Luca Cerruti, the competition was unfortunately over because the judges didn't pay attention on his tricks. Okay, so this was the roundup of day 1. Stay tuned for day 2, it offered even more highlights, and be ready, we're gonna go right into it. Day 2 started with a big girls heat, the first quarterfinal where Pippa van Ursel versus Jasmine Cho and Lana Herman were fighting for 2 positions in the semi-final. Coached and caddied by Mike McDonald, Jasmine put down an incredibly solid performance. With her 2 best tricks, she put Pippa and Lana under a lot of pressure. And Lana reacted in the best possible way, by going massive off the wave and sending a huge laid back. Now the pressure was fully on for Pippa, there could only be 2 advancing into the semi-finals and she was the world number 1 up until this point. She had a heavy crash during that heat and I think she got slightly injured, but she came back stronger. On that last trick attempt, Lana sent a huge kite loop board off for a 7.17. Lana and Jasmine advanced into the semi-final. We'll see the girls again pretty soon, but now it's time for the first quarterfinal of the men. Get ready for an incredible heat. Over here we have Beto Gomez. The Colombian rider starts out with his unique style and spins relentlessly after a super aggressive kite loop. Who would have expected to see Shababski in this quarterfinal alongside Edgar and Jeremy, but he proved the point to be in between the best riders of the world. With another outstanding performance and a total heat score of 19.34, Shahar could advance into the semi-finals. To be fair, Jeremy Burlando, a local at the spot, he was riding on a different level that day. Here are his 2 best tricks. He ended up with a total score of more than 24 and dominated every heat he rode in. Jeremy had a super good team surrounding himself on that day, and he was very selective with the waves. He only took off when everything was in line and he performed his most technical tricks on 20 plus meters of height. It was outstanding. In the second quarterfinal we saw Lorenzo Casati, former King of the Air, versus Stijn Mol and the South Africans Jason van der Spy and Josh Gillett. Josh got unlucky in the beginning of the heat and twisted his knee at a landing. He still came back to perform a double kite loop board off. After delivering the highest score of day 1, Stino knew what the judges want to see: high-powered kite loops with simple rotations, nice board offs. His strategy was very smart. All you need to win a heat is to put down 3 big scores. So he tried to do his 3 biggest tricks on repeat and make them higher, more powerful in every try. Over here we see the highest score of the heat. It was Lorenzo's boogie double kite loop board off. Lorenzo had a completely different strategy. He went for double kite loops all day, but usually in the beginning of his heat he would do easier variations of them with a lower kite angle. As soon as he had some scores on the board, he added more technical variations to it. For Jason, it was just not enough. You need to imagine that he missed the semifinals by only 0.17. That's how close the fleet is together. Those are the best kiters in the world. Stino and Lorenzo advanced, and Josh unfortunately carried away a knee injury. Also, the third quarterfinal was very close between Baby Shark, Koen van Dijk and Giel Vlucht. I like to imagine if Baby Shark landed this shark attack where he did multiple one-footers on the way down, he would have advanced as well. But as the heat was happening, Koen van Dijk made the most out of the conditions. He went on his North Orbit Ultra for big single kite loops with a lot of rotations and board spins. The judges liked what they saw, and I love the next clip, so just check it out, it's absolutely insane. Yes, he attempted to land blind, that's absolutely outstanding in these waves, and Baby Shark went for another shark attack. And how did Giel win this heat? Well, recently in Tarifa he learned a new trick. It's called a double kite loop laid back board off. And here we have another big score from Koen. It really looks like this Ultra has some good performance. This radical S-loop over here from Giel Vlucht was the biggest score of the heat. He put it down, the judges loved it. Unfortunately it was over for Baby Shark. Giel and Koen advanced to the next stage. And we will jump right into the fourth quarterfinal, which was one of the best heats of the whole event, between Aaron Hadlow, Zach Adams, Leonardo Casati and Jamie Overbeek. There were some controversial decisions about this heat as well. We'll hear about it afterwards from Zach Adams, so stay tuned. Remember, it's Zach Adams' debut in the World Tour and he went absolutely massive. He went by far the biggest in the whole heat. Him and Leonardo were causing problems for Aaron and Jamie in this heat. Leonardo scored a 8.6 for this outrageous double kite loop board off. And the pressure was on for Jamie Overbeek as he had to improve into the semi-finals to keep his chances for the world title. Zach Adams performed the heat of his life. He kited with a lot of creativity, he spinned his board around while doing multiple rotations, he just made everything look so damn easy. We could see Jamie getting a little bit nervous while not finding the perfect waves, not finding the perfect kickers, everything was lined up for a big upset. In the meantime, we could enjoy Aaron Hadlow sending it to the moon on short lines. 16-meter lines made his kite loop so much more powerful and he was going absolutely crazy. Beautiful scenes as Leonardo gets coached by his big brother Lorenzo, who told him to do a massive S-loop, and it scored so well. 7.17 for that. We shouldn't forget that this kid is still only 14 years old. Over here we got a massive double kite loop laid back board off for a 8-point score. Zach was holding his nerves together. 7.27 for this back row tic-tac with a contra loop and multiple rotations. He secured himself the second place with this trick. This was Jamie's last very big trick and it scored a 7.43. Leonardo had won the heat and it looked like Zach came in second.
I think I did incredible, man. Like, I just did the best I could possibly do. I tried my hardest. I beat some people that I didn't even think I would beat. Things happen and some rules are not for the best, so.
15 to 20 minutes after the heat was already over, the judges decided to give Jamie a better score so he could advance into the semi-finals.
I think my debut was one for the books, bro.
We had Lana Herman, Francesca Maney, Alessa Sofia Mensch and Nora Clement in the first semi-final of the girls. It was a very close fight for the win in this heat between Francesca and Lana Herman. If you get carried by Get High with Mike, then you better send it properly, and that's what Lana Herman did. She went massive and put the kite in a very low position. The lower the kite, the more aggressive the whole trick, and also Francesca Maney is super good at it. Look at this contra loop front roll where she does exactly that. This aggressive pull by the kite will make you land with a lot of speed, and only the best in the world can ride away from that. Lana and Francesca were waiting in the final who would join them. Sara Sandek was a big surprise for me, and she put down one of the biggest back roll kite loops I've ever seen. Alice Rugiu was also performing very consistently throughout the whole event. Do you remember the hard crash Jasmine had on day 1? Well, she topped it up on the second day with a S-loop board off. Sara Zadek delivered another crash highlight as well, as she went for a kite loop board off, but then lost control, pulled a second kite loop and came down super hot. And Sara Hochenrath? Well, she put down another solid performance. A 7.17 for this kite loop laid back over here secured her the ticket into the final alongside Alice, and we will keep going with a semi-final of death, as they call it. We saw Cohen van Dijk, Jamie Overbeek, Jeremy Burlando and Lorenzo Casati battling it out for only 2 tickets to the finals. Just moments before the semi-finals started, we saw a horrible equipment failure. Jamie Overbeek went for a warm-up jump and mid-air one of his lines snapped. His kite went into multiple death loops and he was brought back to the beach by a jet ski. Luckily he didn't take any further injuries from it and he could come back just after a few minutes. This could as well have been a final. We saw Jeremy Burlando going for a massive kite loop back roll tic-tac with multiple rotations for a 8.33, again proving the point over here to be one of the favorites to win this event. And Lorenzo Casati started out with a boogie double kite loop board off. The wind was so strong, Lorenzo was in his 6 meter and he put down another double kite loop laid back board off for 8 points, as if it was nothing. For the whole event, Jeremy was riding his Slingshot NXT 8 meter. He was going the highest by far, and in this heat he could put down an incredible 8.97 for a contra loop front roll tic-tac. The judges really liked his style. Jamie Overbeek also was riding his 8 meter for the whole second day, and this one was one of the most aggressive contraloop tornadoes I've ever seen performed on a kite. Cohen van Dijk was on his 8.1 meter and he had to put something on the table in this heat as well. He went for a doobie kite loop, did a tic-tac on the way down and landed super controlled with a huge Haley loop. Jeremy just showed that he could go higher than everybody else at this spot. It was a beauty of a trick. With this last 8-point score, he secured himself the win in the heat ahead of Lorenzo Casati. Those two were going to the final. For Cohen van Dijk and Jamie Overbeek, the competition was unfortunately over. They had a very good heat as well. They put down big scores, but there was no chance against the two local riders. Let's find out who would join Jeremy and Lorenzo in the final. In the second semi-final, we saw the two big talents Shahar Sabari and Leonardo Casati versus the more experienced riders Stijn Mol and Giel Vloeg. The entrance to the water was still the biggest challenge for all of the athletes, but it seems like it was really worth it because the wind conditions were just amazing at this spot. It looks like Stino was still on his 8 meter Moto X from Cabrinha and he was going for a massive laid back board off by the fin. That's his signature style and that's what we love to see. It was once more a battle between big single kite loops and very extreme doubles, like Giel Vloeg does them, a big kite loop laid back in between the loops. Shahar Sabari was also going for single loops during the whole event and he landed them so consistently. He crashed only 4 out of 32 attempts, that's absolutely insane. Leonardo Casati had to be in between the favorites for the heat. He puts down the second highest heat score with a double kite loop laid back board off. To be able to compete against this level of double kite loops, a single kite loop needs to be performed at least a few meters higher, and that's what Shahar couldn't do in that heat. Don't get me wrong, he went massive, but he was just missing those extra few meters to get a higher score. Leonardo and Shahar landed everything during that heat. Shahar could finally demonstrate his skills on the big stage. Unfortunately, this event was over for him in the semi-finals, but just look at his technicality. He kites since 3 years. I'm so sure we will see a lot more from him in the near future.
Took some risk, maybe a bit too much, but still in one piece.
Luckily Gil is alright. After that massive crash he had in the semi-finals, he put that kite way below himself, and legends say the kite is still stalling.
Now I'm okay, so I guess I'm alright.
Yeah, this one would have gotten good points for Gil, but that kite couldn't recover at all. Instead, Stino took the highest score of the heat with a 7.77. He went for a massive kite loop with 2 front roll rotations, the board off by the fin as well, and he flew all the way downwind, stuck the landing. That was just beautiful to see. Stino won the heat with a 21.44 ahead of Leonardo with a 20.80. For Shahar and Gil it was unfortunately over, but Shahar wasn't done yet. He did a massive kite loop laid back board off just to get out of the competition zone. It was really cool to see that this guy is not done yet. He will come back for sure. Pippa was proud of him, Sarah took care of Gil. Stino couldn't stop smiling anymore, and Leonardo was super focused to head to the final. Who would become Big Air Kitesurfing World Champion 2024? The final was on between Alice, Lana, Francesca and Zara. It was damn close, so stay tuned. Alice was starting out the scoring with a boogie loop for a 5.33, a quite aggressive kite angle, but she was missing a little bit of height. Francesca mainly taking the lead with her very own boogie loop variation, a very aggressive kite loop off the kicker, and she lands with a lot of speed after a super hard yank. Next off we got Sarah Hohenrad on the 7-meter XR Pro. She goes for a nice contra loop front roll, very aggressive. She almost had problems at the landing, but rode it out for a 6.93 and went straight for a kite change. What could Lana Herman put down under a lot of pressure? It was a big kite loop board off, very beautifully executed, and she flew so far away. With a 7.17 she took the highest trick score of the final so far. Alice Ruggiu put down her biggest tricks and managed to finish 4th place in a World Tour competition. She can be very proud of herself. In the meantime, Zara made it back to the competition zone with a 6-meter Pace Pro. She went for these kite changes to be able to perform big single kite loops and double kite loops within the same heat, and she did a double over here which scored her 8 points. With this huge score, Zara took over the lead, and now she put the pressure on Francesca and Lana. Lana was going for a back roll kite loop, late back roll. Francesca and Lana stayed on their 7 meters to be able to go higher, and for Francesca the strategy paid off totally. This kite loop board off over here was the best trick of the heat so far. Now Francesca took over the lead again and Sarah was under pressure. She went for a world's first for women in competition, a S loop. The final was almost over and Lana Herman went for her last trick attempt. She took off on the first wave that she could find and did a massive boogie loop. This happened so close to the beach that she landed next to rocks in super shallow water. Lana secured herself the 3rd position with it. Now it was all between Francesca and Sarah. Who would take it? In her last trick attempt, Francesca went all out and performed an impressive contra loop front roll. The kite was level with her, it was very extreme and she landed it perfectly. It all came down to the last trick and Sarah knew she needed something outstanding. So she went on to surprise the whole kitesurfing industry with a trick that has never been attempted before. And she landed it. The crowd couldn't hold it together anymore. She got a 9.5 for it and the final was over. She won it with 24.46 in front of Francesca with a 23.30. Lana came in 3rd with 20.03 and Alice came in 4th with 15 points. This was an outstanding final for women kitesurfing. We had extremity, we had technicality, a lot of drama, and it was super close until the end. What a performance by all of the 4 athletes. Not only did Sarah win this event, she also became Kitesurfing Big Air World Champion 2024 for the first time in her life. She was still in tears when I got to interview her after the men's final, so stay tuned for that. And without further ado, we will jump into the men's final between Lorenzo, Leonardo, Stein and Jeremy. The wind was still howling and the waves looked promising, even though it's worth to mention that the conditions got slightly lighter than they have been in the semi-finals. Lorenzo Casati still decided to keep going with his 6 meter, and it looked like his strategy would pay off as he put down that boogie double kite loop with a tic-tac for a 7.8 in his first jump attempt. The wind was still up to 40 knots in gusts and sometimes even higher, but you needed to be lucky to find those. Stino was once more on his 8 meter but didn't find the gust in this attempt and only scored a 6.1 for a contraloop front roll board off. Lorenzo had the strongest start to the final as he put down another big scorer within his first tricks, a 7.6 for this double kite loop laid back board off. Even though he didn't get the height he was hoping for, he was still able to put down the most technical and difficult tricks. Jeremy Burlando definitely didn't have a good start to that heat. Maybe he was nervous because it was about the World Championship title for him. And for Leonardo Casati, things didn't work out either. He even had to go for a kite change and take the 8 meter because he couldn't get proper height on the 6. It was the first time that we could see the two brothers competing against each other in a heat. Our Dutch friend Stino was up against the 3 local riders. He had a massive disadvantage when it's about the spot, but he was still pushing through his incredible stylish tricks. I'm still not sure what Renato told his 14-year-old son, but after this conversation he was landing everything. Leonardo had 3 trick attempts left. Jeremy found himself in a very similar situation. He needed big scores. So far he only had 2 6s on the board and Lorenzo was far ahead. And then this happened. It scored a 9.27. Having a closer look at it, you can see the kite stalling in front of the rider. And the height was around 20 to 25 meters. That's what the judges wanted to see. And that's what they gave points for. Lorenzo Casati was still leading the final up until this point, and then he added an S loop, which was absolutely enormous, and he scored a 8.4. The height on that one might have been around 18 to 20 meters. As mentioned earlier, Leonardo Casati found his groove towards the end of the final. In this case, he went for a kite loop with multiple front roll rotations and a tic-tac, a very technical trick, but not high enough. It was easy to see that Jeremy went quite a bit higher than the rest, and he performed his tricks with so much style, he made it look easy. And that's what a world champion should do. Stino was fighting till the end for that podium spot, and he went for a kite loop laid back with a board off by the fin. One of his signature moves, and nobody in the world does it quite like him. He scored a 7.33 to secure the 3rd spot.
I'm gonna for sure try my best to win this competition, but yeah.
Lorenzo went for a back roll S loop laid back. To give a trick like this a 5.5 is a big disrespect for his style of kitesurfing, in my opinion. Nonetheless, Leonardo had one more jump attempt in this final and he went for a contra loop with 4 front rolls and a board off. And then there was Jeremy, actually still sitting on 4th place. He only put down 2 tricks. But in his last jump, he went for it and he risked everything. The waiting game began. The scores were not confirmed yet, and especially that last score from Jeremy was still missing. Nobody knew what would happen. Stino was the first one to realize that he ended up on the podium. Then Jeremy's last score came through, and it was clear. He won the competition, and he won the World Championship. Leonardo Casati looked like he had bigger expectations, but to end up 4th place in a World Tour final, that's outstanding for a 14-year-old. And for sure his time will come. Jeremy and Stino were already celebrating on the water. Also for Jeremy, it was the first World Championship title.
Just thought, let's fucking do it, have fun, you know. And I still can't believe it, man, that I'm world champion. It's just something I still didn't know, I still don't know, you know.
Doing super good, man. I just finished the final and I got 3rd place. Super sick for me. Normally I don't make it into the final. Happy with the result and hungry for more.
I mean, best day of my life for sure, and it's not me winning, so it's amazing. We spoke about it yesterday for the first time, where she's like, oh, I can't think about that. And I said, well, if we need it, we need it. So I think she had it in her head all day, and can't believe she landed it. It's crazy.
I can't believe it either. No words, I cannot describe it. It's unbelievable. I needed another big score, so Giel told me to do a boogie double. I never did it before, but I was like, if I want to become a world champion, I have to give it my all. So I just went for it and it paid off. I had one time that I was celebrating like this when I landed the trick and then the kite dropped. So I was like, okay, stick it, stick it, stick it, stick it. Yeah! It's just so scary, but I think I had a really good takeoff and I was upside down and I was just in my mind that Giel said, just keep on pulling! And at some point I was like, did it go twice? And I just did it.
I'll be proud of her. She's brilliant.
It was a crazy final. I tried my hardest and landed kind of what I wanted. I definitely felt like I had it, and then I saw her do the double and I was like, yeah, world first. Like, she's got it for sure. And yeah, it was super cool trick. No one's done it, so yeah, like super happy she managed to put it off. So cool to see everyone pushing. Yeah, the levels I think just gonna like increase super quick and
and the caddy.
Yeah, this is my caddy. He's a wizard in this towel the whole week. Woo! Thank you.
With these kind of projects, we hope to make kitesurfing events more accessible in the future. So far, live streams have been the only way to watch a competition, but barely anybody has the time to watch YouTube for 12 hours per event day. I really hope you enjoyed our first movie. Without the people behind Genius Bet, this would not have been possible. Thank you very much for sponsoring this project. Thank you very much to Noel, my cameraman. He was absolutely incredible, filming on the dustiest beach in the whole world over 5 days straight. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, you gotta hit the like button. Thank you.